America needs permitting reform, whether it be for the burgeoning offshore wind industry, building transmission lines to upgrade our energy grid, solar fields on federal lands, geothermal steam projects, mining proposals, or oil and gas development. All of these projects need permitting reform to ensure timeliness, transparency, and certainty. To that end, we're here this morning considering two proposals: the TAP American Energy Act, introduced by my friend and colleague and our full committee chair, Bruce Westerman, and the Permitting for Mining Needs Act, which I introduced last month and now has 33 co-sponsors. To quote a witness at our February 8th full committee oversight hearing on permitting, quote, "Without reforms to ensure reasonable timeliness, crucial investments in American infrastructure will be delayed and in some cases diverted. Various provisions outlined in the TAP Act and other thoughtful permitting proposals will help encourage the timely development of clean energy infrastructure across this country." End quote. This is from the American Clean Power Association, the largest trade association representing wind, solar, and more clean energy technologies. Every megawatt of wind capacity requires tens of thousands of pounds of copper, according to the International Energy Agency. The Biden-Harris plan for offshore wind alone is 30,000 megawatts by 2030. The IEA estimates that offshore wind requires 17,600 pounds of copper for every megawatt. We need hundreds of millions of pounds of copper to only construct the turbines for meeting this administration's offshore wind goals. This does not account for the materials needed for electric vehicles, charging stations, distribution, transmission, storage, healthcare tech, or more. It's only turbine construction. The answer for this administration is to import and recycle, but that's not based in reality. If the COVID-19 pandemic has taught us anything, it's that we must be self-reliant on our own supply chains. And there are simply not enough materials in existence now to recycle our way out of this mess. And recycling centers also require permits. It takes an absolutely unreasonable amount of time to mine here in the United States. In my district alone, we have a mine project in its second decade of permitting and litigation. We have another that has its lease arbitrarily canceled and a mining ban put in place over some of the best mineral reserves in the world. At a recent oversight subcommittee hearing, my Democrat colleague from New Mexico discussed the need for a multi-pronged effort to address our supply chains. I agree, but right now, it's not multi-pronged. Right now, the only plan is to import from abroad and some vague references to recycling. Minnesota, like Arizona, Alaska, Utah, or other states, has the resources, the workforce, and the political willpower to mine. We just have to have an administration not turn its back on us. Meanwhile, the Energy Information Administration predicts 50% increase in global energy consumption by 2050, with petroleum and liquid fuels remaining the largest energy source. American resources are the cleanest produced in the world. Chairman Westerman, Federal Lands Chairman Tiffany, and myself toured federal land operations near Hobbs, New Mexico earlier this month. We saw how clean operations are firsthand from construction to remediation. They're not hiding. They will provide a tour to anyone who asks, and yet the administration continues to kneecap American workers and American production. On the first days in office, President Biden froze new oil and gas leasing. Although sued and forced to comply with the Mineral Leasing Act, it has been nothing but delay after delay with this administration. Remember, it takes more than one permit to approve a project on federal lands. Operators must comply with various statutes, including NEPA. However, approval times skyrocketed from an average of 400 days under Trump to 650 days under Joe Biden, with total approvals plummeting well below 50%. The TAP Act fixes these issues and then some. It also explicitly improves upgrades to NEPA that make it easier to deploy transmission lines so we can supplement our energy grid, building on coal, gas, and nuclear to include solar, wind, and more. I am proud to support this legislation, and I'm eager to move it alongside my Permit MN Act. America's energy future is in question. We remain beholden, even after learning the lessons of COVID-19, to our foreign adversaries for hard rock minerals and our energy fuels. I look forward today to the witness testimonies, and I'm eager to move America forward with the TAP Act and the Permit MN Act. Mr. Nolan, it's great to see you again, and thank you for joining us today. As you know, the Biden administration opted to ban mining in the Superior National Forest, a working forest, which partially covers the Duluth Complex, one of the most mineral-rich areas in the world. After investing more than $500 million, Twin Metals had the rug pulled out from underneath, and the PolyMet project is on year 20 of permitting and fighting frivolous litigation. And by the way, both of these projects have project labor agreements in place with union building trades. Can you explain why certainty is so vital to mining projects in the United States and how the Permitting for Mining Needs Act provides certainty to miners?
Be happy to, Mr. Chairman. The Twin Metals project is a poster child for what is wrong with the permitting process. As you just outlined, the mining industry is a very patient group. We can wait, and we have waited. We've waited an incredibly long period of time. That time cost capital, cost jobs, cost trust, cost consultation. We really need to do better. The amount of capital that has been sunk for Twin Metals is a tremendous shame with a resource that can benefit the world and meet the exponential drive towards the minerals that we need to meet the electrification goals of the world economies. With regards to the legislation itself, the directives to appoint a lead agency, to consult with the other agencies to make sure that timelines and deadlines are getting accomplished through MOUs, the decision about bringing forward an EIS within 2 years, I think, is somewhat reasonable from any measure. It's been mentioned about the federal government allowing private entities or states to bring forward EIS work. That is what we see with our competitors in Canada, who can get projects up and running in 2 to 3 years. It's something that the committee should seriously take a look at. It's included in this bill. Changes such as that, looking at the land withdrawal process and assessing the minerals that are there before the land is withdrawn. We do not decide what those minerals are. Those were put there. And it's important that we take care of sensitive locations and communities, but at the same time, there's a limited supply of locations where we can actually access those materials. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And again, those are multi-generational union jobs that were just pulled out from underneath them. Mr. Knotts, thank you for joining us today. In your testimony, you discussed the long timeliness for drilling permits, which is something we also discussed 2 weeks ago in Hobbs, New Mexico. If the timeliness mirrored those of the states, would that result in more taxpayer revenue and bring down the cost of energy for Americans?
Certainly, Mr. Chairman, we believe if the process was streamlined and they got back to the NEPA process as it was originally intended, that would certainly help. Independent producers, the members we operate are small producers, largely not publicly traded companies. They roll their profits back into the ground. Many times they're local. Operating there. And so it's really important to have a process that they have comfort in, that they understand. One of the challenges, again, is the instability of the federal regime, which if it were clarified and made more streamlined, closer mirroring the states, we believe you would have additional production both onshore and offshore.
Thank you very much. Will the TAP Act help reduce timeliness?
Is that to me? I'm sorry, Mr.
Yes.
Yes, it will. It will. Again, the The provisions, first of all, requiring quarterly lease sales, which is part of the Mineral Leasing Act, which is the law, is really important. It's unfortunate, we believe, that you have to have another law to force the administration to already move on another law. But yes, we believe the provision in the TAP Act will help timeless for a variety of reasons.
Thank you very much, and it was great to see you down in Hobbs, New Mexico, and touring one of the drill rigs. I appreciate that. Mr. Thompson, Congress has created categorical exclusions for agencies to stop doing the same work over and over again. Yet agencies still decide not to use the categorical exclusion. How would the TAP Act avoid issues with unpredictable usage of categorical exclusions?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You're absolutely correct that we have seen some district offices for the Bureau of Land Management deploy the categorical exclusions for geothermal and others not do that. And so the provisions in the TAP Act would make it clear that when we are doing exploration drilling with less than 5 acres of disturbance, it does not need to take the time of the hardworking BLM employees and would let them focus on the projects that are backlogging the process today, the utilization planning for geothermal projects that have found a resource and will continue on to development.
Thank you very much. Mr. Nolan, a mining project, even a permitted project, can be challenged 6 years after a final federal action. How does forcing any litigation sooner in the process help with getting new U.S. mining production?
I think we're talking about trust and upfront consultation with communities, tribal groups, indigenous populations in the process, so there's more transparency. Is something the committee can work on so that those challenges are known and can be addressed to the benefit of both the project and the community. So I think that's something that the bill speaks to and can be worked on.
Yeah, in the Permit for Mining Needs Act, there's a 120-day period after a federal decision, and you and your folks support that?
We do. I think it's a tremendous improvement.